Hey folks, Noah with West Coast Emergency Supply. Got another great video for you today. We are going to be taking a look at the programming software for the G4 and G5 from Unication. We're going to not get overly detailed in our explanation here. We're just going to give you enough information to get up and on your feet, whether you're a equipment programmer for an agency or if you're a consumer and you decided to pick up a unit. This overview will give you enough to get going. And as always, if you need any assistance, we're always here to help you. We've got great programming options for both the G4 and G5 as well as the G1. In this explanation or in this video here, we're going to talk about adding a site on P25, adding the talk groups for P25, and we're also going to take a look at adding conventional frequencies as well. We're not going to be able to talk about adding the frequencies, I should say tone outs. I don't have any tone outs to add that we could test, but I will show you in the programming software where you can find that information. If you do need some assistance programming tone outs, you can always get a hold of us, email us, and we can get that set up for you. You will need to provide your tone out information. So there's a couple of things you're going to need. You are going to need the programming software, which you can download from unication.com. You are also going to need your site information. Whether you are programming for an agency, you would already have that information. If you are a consumer, the best place to find the programming information is through radioreference.com. Now I have Spokane County's site pulled up here. This is their new P25 system. It is running phase 1. And we're going to take a look at that. We're going to add the talk groups, but we're also going to add in some frequencies here as well. Now the pager we're going to be working with today, or the model we're going to be working with, is a G5 on VHF. Just about everything here in the county is a VHF. There are a couple things here that are UHF, and the same principles apply. If you had a UHF model, you would make sure that your pager, the frequency, the receive frequency, fits into what that frequency is there. So when you order it, you just want to make sure best to call somebody on the phone, call us, ask us, and we can get the best model for you and what you're going to be taking a look at. We'll get you taken care of, not a problem. So that's what you're going to need. You're going to need the device itself, the programming software, and the site information, which if you need can be found on Radio Reference as well. So we're going to set that aside for a minute. Looking here on the screen, this is what you get when you launch the software after you log in. You get the Welcome to G-Series PPS. And now if you've never used this software, it can kind of seem a little overwhelming. And if you look at it and go, I just can't figure this out, not a problem at all. We can take care of you. We'll include our information down below for you if you do decide you want to have us program your device for you. We also do offer programming discounts as well if you purchase through us. And we have a page on our website that will kind of give you an explanation of how much our programming services cost. Depending on how detailed you get, this can take a few hours to do, and down the road, if you want to tweak anything, it can add additional time. I think when I programmed in my very first site, it probably took me about a day and a half, and it's actually taken even longer. I've gone back and changed things and removed things, and just made it a very overall great device to listen with. So to jump right in here to the software, we can see right up here at the top, this is the version of the software. The user obviously is the admin, which will be the first user you see, which you can change when we get through the settings here, and then the connected devices. So if I connect my device here, you will see it pop up. If I can get there we go. And we have one connected device. If we click on details, it gives us our serial number and our pager ID. We're going to go ahead and close that now. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and unplug this for the time being there, and you'll see the connected device goes away. And we're going to come over here first to A. So if you want to get if you want to dive right in and really get into the software, the best way to do it is to go through the user guide. This is very detailed and gives you the most information. Now, if you don't find something you're looking for in here, there's a couple things that I found that I needed or wanted an answer to. Excuse me, and I just did a brief search online, and I found the answer that I was looking for. But this basically runs it right here. It starts at the top, frequency and system setting, and this even goes step by step. So C1, under 2, you add in it's a little blurry to see. It's blurry for me. You guys aren't going to be able to see it very well, but this is under the conventional frequency setting. So this is adding a conventional frequency, and then here you have the P25 trunk system setting. And it just goes through step by step for you to add in the information that you need to get your device programmed. So that's under A for the user guide. So if you guys need any assistance, refer to that. And then we're going to jump down here to setting, and this is the login information. So if you wanted to, you could come down here and add a user or edit the main user. Okay. This is where you would change the password. Now, once we move on to C here, this is where we start getting a couple of options. So for C1, this is where you're going to choose what kind of pager you have. Okay? This is going to be the model number. So we're going to come down here. I believe it's going to be this one, right? Yep. So this is the 7 and 800 megahertz. With VHF, this has 2-tone, 5-tone, MDC 1200, DOVA, DMR, and P25 conventional, and for trunking it has P25. Now this is going to be the model that we're going to work with, and we're going to create our code plug, if you will, on this in a minute. But you can come through here and you can look. So basically the model designator G5, and then you have VA for VHF, and then you have U for UHF. So if I change this, you can see we went to UHF-D for 450 to 512. So that's why it's important when you purchase your pager for the first time that you make sure the frequencies you're trying to listen to fit in this band here, or otherwise you're not going to be able to hear them. So you can see here's another UHF plan, 400 to 470. So just make sure you're aware of that. If you need any assistance when purchasing, your dealer should be able to take care of that for you, whether you buy through us or through many of the other dealers. The dealers can look up your site, can look up your information, and tell you what scanner or what pager you're going to need. So we're going to go back to our VHF here, and just to run through these here. So this is my existing profile that I already have. We're not going to be using this one. And you can also read from a device as well. You can plug in a G4 G5 and read the code plug from it, work off of that, and edit it, do all the changes you need to do. So we're going to pop back over here. We're going to go ahead and scroll down to VHF there. This is the one that we're going to set up today. Remember, it's the same for UHF as well. So you just need to look at the frequencies that you're going to be working with. If I bring this back over here, you see most of the frequencies in Spokane County are VHF. So if you have like 453.300, that's going to be UHF. So if you have any doubt, this is really, really important. If you have any doubt, just give us a call. We'll take care of you. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and select that, and it's going to ask you, are you sure you want to use the model number for this profile? You're going to go ahead and click yes. And this is going to be the first screen that you're presented with in getting this set up. So it's going to give you some information over here on this side as well. And it's going to say profile ID. PPS allows users to create multiple radio group profiles. So this side here is going to give you an explanation as to what, and you can see as we go through here, it highlights it. So if you have any questions, or if you're not sure what it means, this side here will highlight as you go through it. So we're going to put test as well, and that's it. Excuse me. This is just going to be your group name. This information is just to get your profile set up and started. So we're going to go ahead and click next. And this is going to be the second screen that you're confronted with. It's going to be the section where you add in your conventional frequencies as well as your P25 trunking system. Alright, so we're going to work off this one first. We're going to add a couple of frequencies here. And so this area here, and as you can see, you have VHF, you have UHF-A, which is 330 to 400. You have UHF-B, which is 380 to 430. You have UHF-C, which is 400 to 470. And then you have UHF-D, which is 450 to 512. This is why I was saying it's important, because you have multiple UHF frequency ranges that you could purchase a pager for, and it's important for you to know what you're going to be running. VHF is pretty easy because it kind of takes up 136 to 174. There's not multiples, and then obviously you have the 7 and 800 megahertz. And then this again over here just gives you more information. So we're going to start off here, and this is what you see by default. So when you add new here, it populates and then it deletes. Okay, so this is what we're going to do first. I'm going to come over here to my radio reference, and let's add in AMR right here, American Medical Response Dispatch. We're going to add in this frequency right here. So I'm going to drag this out of the way, and I'm going to type in here AMR Dispatch. And there is, you can see right there, I'm not sure if you heard the noises, but there is a character limit. Okay, so that's about all I could add. So just be aware of that as well if you're trying to fit large names in there. Alright, so our frequency is going to be 155.17500. And then our bandwidth, you're going to leave this default unless you know that you're not narrow banded. Okay, I would leave this alone. If you have any questions, check with, if you're an agency, check with the band plan. Or if you're a consumer and you're trying to get this program, if you're not sure, check radio reference first. If radio reference doesn't have an answer for you, then you can always call us and we can go through it with you there. Most everybody's going to be 12.5, and that's just the stepping. Okay, let's add one more. This one we're going to add, let's see. We're going to add one of the SRMA channels. We're going to add SRMA 4. And now if you're in Spokane, this means for SRMA 4-8. And I'm going to put V for VHF, since this is a frequency that is repeated across the P25 system as well as on the VHF range. So I'm going to go ahead and add in the frequency. Okay, there we go. I think that's right. Double check it. So we're not entirely done with these yet. As most of you know, you do need a tone, basically, a PL tone, to make sure you block out any traffic that's not wanted. And we'll configure those later in the settings. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the P25 trunking. Now this is what most of you are going to use if you're purchasing this device, especially if you get a G4, which is just 7 and 800 megahertz. This is where you're going to spend most of your time. So we're going to drag this back over. We're going to go up to Spokane Regional Emergency Communication System. We're going to go ahead and click that. And here we go. So just to kind of give you guys a rundown here on a site. So there's a couple of pieces of important information, and we're going to take just a minute here to go through this stuff. So a lot of this isn't or doesn't pertain to us. If you're running a regular scanner, stuff like the system ID doesn't even go into the scanner, or at least I've never seen it go into the scanner. Most of the time you're going to stick with this stuff right here. You're just going to stick with the frequencies and then the talk groups. That's all you're going to concern yourself with. With these devices, it's a little bit different. There's some things that you need to program in to continue to keep your connection concurrent with the tower that you want to receive from. So this information right here is important as well. So this is your system ID, and this is your walk-in ID. This is connection to the site as well. So when you scan through a site, you need to be able to plug this in, and this is in hexadecimal as well, so that you can pick this information up. And then most users, all they're going to program in is the simulcast. And with the programming, you want to make sure that you get in at least the control channel, which was designated here on radio reference in red with the C, and then an alternative channel, which is designated here in blue with an A. My recommendation is to add in the control channel and all of the alternative channels for the site. Now this is a site right here. This is the simulcast site. A lot of places use simulcast, and essentially what you have going on here, and this would be the same as like a Motorola APX 7000 or an 8000 series radio. When the programmers program in sites, they include all of these, okay? And let me tell you why. It's important to understand this. For example, I took my device up about 30 miles from where I'm at now. And I was just out of the range of the simulcast site, so it switched over to another site here. And I believe it was, I think it was Scoop here. Not sure, it was a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, if you lose a site, it will go on to the next one, the next closest one that you're connected to keep the connection to the site so you can always receive. And you can bounce around quite a bit. So I could go from, if I decide not to include simulcast in my programming, I can just add in these guys here, and I'm just going to bounce around them depending on what part of the county that I'm in. And this would be for the same for anybody in any other state that has a system like this. So that's interesting. I've seen a couple of videos. They don't really touch on this, but I thought it's important just to mention that. Just so that you get the best connection possible. Because if you program in just a simulcast site, you may be out of range of it, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're out of range of any of the other sites. Okay? So just be aware of that. So today we're just going to focus on what mostly everybody uses, which is just a simulcast. I recommend, like I said, adding in the control channel as well as the alternative channels just to make sure that you stay connected with the site. Now you can add in all of these frequencies if you want to. I don't think it'll hurt anything. I haven't tried it. I just added in the alternative and the control channels, and it worked just fine. And like I said, if you want to add these, it's up to you. I know it might be a little more work, but in the long run, it would definitely pay off to have them. Okay, so you're going to need the RFSS, which is the subsystem, and if you hover over it, kind of gives you a little information as to what it is, as well as the site. So here it gives you a couple of things, okay? So you want what's in the marks here, okay? So I'm going to take the 1 out of this, and then same thing for over here. You want to put in the system what correlates with this information right here, okay? So if I was programming in Upper Mica, I would put in the 1 for the RFSS and A for the site. And I'll show you that in just a second here, okay? Now we're going to scroll down here. This is the talk group section. So we have law. This is kind of our talk groups here. We have state patrol. We have sheriff. We have police. We have fire. We have emergency management, local government, international airport, and Cheney, which is a college town here where we are at. We're going to be focusing on just fire today. We're probably just going to do the top few just to kind of show you. So here you have decimal and then you have hex. So if you plug this in, this should be what shows up right here in hex. And I'll show you that as well. Okay. Also, if you're on radio reference and you're pulling information, keep in mind that this right here, this hover over it if you're not sure. So these D and E, this means digitally or digital. D means digital, E means encrypted. Okay. One of the things that's important to know with these devices is on a scanner, your device, your scanner will not pick up encrypted traffic. It will go right over it. With the Unication series radios, it will pick up the radio traffic, but it will not come through clear. It will be encrypted. You cannot decode encrypted information with these devices. It will sound like something you've never heard before. I'll leave it at that. It's kind of an awkward sound, and you can't, with these devices, you can't lock out. So just be aware of that if you put some of this information in here, like if you put data in here, which is SPD North, SPD Data, and SPD South. Data is just a channel where they run names on. If you put in that information and you happen to pick up traffic, you're not going to hear what they're saying. It's going to be encrypted. It's going to be a bad, horrid noise, as I like to call it. You can't listen to any of that. So you would have to take these out because you'd have to take it out because there's no way to skip it. I mean, you could leave it in if you wanted to. If it's some places have partial encryption, some places have full-time encryption. So if it's partially encrypted sometimes or it's fully encrypted, if it's fully encrypted, I wouldn't even worry about it. I'd take it out right away because you're never going to be able to hear anything that's talked about on the frequency anyway. If it's partially encrypted and it happens to stop while somebody's transmitting encrypted traffic, fortunately, you're just going to have to deal with that there. So that's something to be aware of. That's why I mainly focus on fire. I don't really mess around with police too much. So that's some additional information to be aware of. So let's go ahead and scroll back up here to our site. And again, we're going to be working with simulcast, and I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. So the trunk system alias, okay? So for just demonstration purposes, I'm going to nickname this SRECS. It's widely known around here as Shreks, okay? You can name it whatever you want. Most places, if I go to like Idaho, I'll just bring this over one more time for you guys to see. Actually, if I go over here, if I go to the U.S. and I go to Idaho, the neighboring community over in Kootenai County has ICOWIN, which is a interoperable network throughout Idaho, and we're also going to be adding them in today, just for you guys to kind of get an idea. And if you look at this versus Spokane, there's a lot more sites here. This is kind of a statewide system that stretches from the top of Idaho down to Boise, I believe. Maybe not. Yeah, Boise right there. So there's a lot of talk groups in here as well that you would have to go through. And technically, if you really wanted to, you could come through here and you could add all of these sites in and travel around Idaho and be able to hear everything. You could totally do it. Not a problem. So we're going to hop back on over to our, almost there. There we go. All right. So we're going to run through this information real quick here. So I nicknamed it Trex, and this is what I was talking about for the walk-in ID. So this is the information that you're going to want to grab right here. BEE00. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and add that in there, and it's going to take it. You see, it takes the letters and the numbers. And then for the system ID, we're going to pull up, where did it go? Pull it up right here. The system ID is going to be 447. So we're going to type in 447. We're going to leave site trunking off. I'm going to go ahead and collapse this real quick. And if you need help here as well, oops, as you're going through, let's see if I can't trigger it. Yep, see, it switches back and forth. So when you click on the top here, it will tell you what it is, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and collapse it for right now so I can maximize this, okay? So site list, okay? So this is our site information. Site 1 is going to be simulcast. That's what we're going to call it. Drag this over a little bit here so I can bring this other tab in. Okay, so what information? RFSS, and this correlates as well with what's on here. You're just going to have to look for it, okay? Whatever is here, and so like the system ID, you know, if we come back up here, system ID, and then the walk-in, just look for that information, and it correlates. And just add whatever is in there, okay? So RFSS is going to remain as 1, and the site is going to remain as 1 as well, okay? Because we see that right here. RFSS will always be 1, but this number will change, and we want to make sure we add in here. We want to stick with what's here, not with what's over here, okay? All right, so we're going to go ahead, and if we wanted to add in another one, we would click New, and we would add in our information. Let's go ahead and add in just another one here. Let's do Mount Spokane. Okay, so our RFSS is going to remain the same, and Mount Spokane is 9. So we're going to put in 9 right there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click Save on that. Now it's time to put in the control channels. Okay, so you went from site, you clicked on site there. Now you click on the control channel list, and this is where you're going to add in your control channels. Okay, so where we're going to get that information, like I showed you before, so we're going to take this red control channel here on simulcast, and then I'm going to take this one as well, and then we're going to come down to Mount Spokane, and we're going to do the red control channel here, and we're going to do the blue alternative here. And now the system is going to know what frequencies correlate with what site. The system's going to manage that for us, so you don't have to, okay? So literally it's as easy as 853.5375. Oops. Let me do that again. 853.5375. Okay, and you can add in a note. You can see just right here, you can add in a note for what it is. I'm going to put simulcast P or C for control channel, and then I'm going to go ahead and add another one in here, 852.7875, and then it automatically adds in the 0 for me. Simulcast A. Okay, and since we added in Mount Spokane, I'm going to go ahead and do Mount Spokane as well. 853 point, see where did it go, I lost it, 400, okay, Mount Spokane C, okay, and then add another one, 853.2375, and this is going to be Mount Spokane alternative. And then when we're done putting all of our sites in, or however many control channels we want to put in here, we're just going to click Save, and that's it. You'll see this number change. So just to kind of open this again, let me grab a drink here. Just to kind of show this off to you again where I got the information from. So simulcast C and A, right here under simulcast, I grabbed this red control channel and this blue alternative channel, okay? And you can add in all the blues. I would add, you need to add in the red, and then all the blues. You can even add in everything else if you wanted to, but just to get it to work, you just need the control and an alternative. And then for Mount Spokane, I grabbed the red control and then this blue alternative here, okay? So we're just going to click Save. We're going to drag this out of the way here, click Save, okay? So let's take a look back here briefly. So we got our system alias in, we got our walk-in ID in, we got our system ID in, We got our site list with Mount Spokane and simulcast in. We got our control channels in. And this information here is if you wanted to scan the full spectrum. We're not going to mess with any of that here. Okay. So in this menu here, if you wanted to add in another system, you could. Okay. So we are going to come back over here. We're going to go to US. We're going to go to Idaho. We're going to go to Kootenai County. And we're going to go ahead and add in their interoperable network as well, just for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to drag this over. I'm going to name it ICAWIN. So on this more complicated system, again, same thing. System ID is 18B, and the walk-in is the same as Spokane County, okay? So we're going to drag this over. System ID is 18B, and then the walk-in is BEE00, okay? All right, so now since I'm only doing a couple of frequencies out of this, or I'm only doing a couple of sites, I'm just going to do one site for this. I don't want to get this video too long. We're already at 31 minutes here, so we've got a lot more to cover. So I'm going to focus with Mount Spokane again. So we're going to go to the site list. Okay. Site is going to be Mount Spokane. And then again, I drag this over and I look at Mount Spokane. So it's going to be one for RFSS, and then it's going to be one delta for the site. Okay. That's important. That is very, very important, or you won't hear any traffic coming out of this at all. So we're going to put in, this is one, and then it's going to be, what did I say, one delta, okay? And then again, if you wanted to add in the rest of the sites here, if you wanted to add in the rest of these, you would just hit new here. So I'm going to go ahead and click save, and then I'm going to add in the control channels. Again, same thing. Our control channels are right here. So I'm going to copy this. Let's see if I can't cheat it. Yep, totally cheated it. I'm going to list it as P. And I'm going to bring it back. Whoops. And then I'm going to copy this one here. There we go. And then I'm going to click save, and that's it. Okay? We're not going to mess with full spectrum scan. We're not going to mess with any of that. Okay? All right. So just to kind of recap a little bit here while we're in number 2, we've got our conventional frequencies in, and we've got our sites in. We've got our systems in. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and click next. And this is the protocol. This is important as well. Okay? So this protocol, this is going to be what you're using, okay? So we're going to be doing, we're not going to be doing P25 conventional, just to kind of keep this short. Actually, yeah, you know what? We can do it, okay? We're going to add in trunking, okay? So these are the protocols that we're going to be using. Protocol 1 is P25 conventional. Protocol 2 is P25 trunking. If you were doing 2-tone, 5-tone, MDC 1200, DOVA, or DMR, you would want to add in a protocol as well. So when you see here on number 2, it popped up with some information here. Leave that alone. Don't mess with it, okay? If you are just buying this as a consumer, don't mess with any of this. If you're programming this for an agency, mess with it all you need to, but if you're just getting this as a consumer, don't worry about it. Okay? All right. Now, this is where we program in our group list. Okay? This is just going to be for the P25 system. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. All right. So, where we're going to get this information from? Bring this back up here. Okay? While we're in Idaho, let's go ahead and do Idaho here as well. So this is interesting because this is where you're going to add in all of your talk groups regardless of what system they're on. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to add in Kootenai County Fire Dispatch. Okay, so I'm going to call this King County Fire Rescue DISP. Okay, alert mode. Okay, we pop this back out, and this is going to highlight to correlate what these options are. Okay, so if you need the help, remember you have this right here. Okay. All right, so the group alias, this is going to be King County Fire Rescue Dispatch. Alert mode, okay, you have options here. Tone, vibrate, none, tone, and vibe. We're going to go ahead and turn that off. We don't need any of that, okay? Voice storage. If you want this to record this group when it hits, you can go ahead and have it do that, okay? Also, the background color. You can choose a color here, so I'm going to choose red, just for demonstration purposes, okay? Now, this information is very important here, okay? This is P25 conventional, okay? And we'll get to P25 conventional here in a minute. And then this is P25 top group, okay? This is what we're going to want to add in our information with. Now, if we open up our site here, okay, Kootenai County Fire Rescue Dispatch has a decimal of 28,100 and then a hex of 6D, 6 Delta Charlie 4, okay? So I'm going to take the decimal and watch this, okay? Remember 6D Charlie 4. I'm going to move this out of the way, okay? And it's decimal, it's highlighted to decimal, 28,100. Put it in 6 Delta Charlie 4, okay? So either one of those numbers will take here. It's hex and decimal. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry about that. It's been a long morning. All right. So, King County Fire Rescue Dispatch. Again, remember this is on our Idaho system. Okay. So we're going to go back to Spokane. Get up here. USA, Washington, Spokane. Come down here to our system, okay? So we're going to come down here. We're going to add fire dispatch in here as well. So we are running 60303. We're going to go ahead and copy that. Move that out of the way. Well, I'm going to call this fire dis, okay? Because Spokane County is the county we operate in the most. So I'm going to know right away that Spokane County Fire Dispatch. Again, with the alert mode. Now, just to kind of explain to you what this is, when the frequency or when this talk group is picked up, when there's traffic on the talk group and it pauses to let the traffic come through on the pager, you can either have it make a tone, you can have it vibrate, or you can have it tone and vibrate. Most of this stuff, if you just want to hear it, you're going to leave it as none. But if you're trying to pick up 2-tone or 5-tone messages coming through, you need it to tone before the pager opens to let the traffic come through. And those who use 2-tone and 5-tone will know that your pager's closed until a tone comes through, which opens it up so that you can hear the dispatcher talking. Okay, so for this demonstration, we're just going to leave this as none. We're going to continue to leave this as voice storage on, and then we're going to make this, we'll make this one blue. We're not going to mess with this because this is not a conventional frequency, but we'll touch on this again. I'm not done with that yet. And then we'll go ahead and put this in here. And then again, so if I bring this back over for you guys to see, dispatch is EB8F, okay? And then it matches up with what is right here, okay? All right, so I've got Spokane County in, and I've got Kootenai County in. I'm not going to add in any more here. I'm also not going to talk about any of these. If you have questions about these, you can send us an email, and we can touch on them for you. For this here, we're not going to mess with this either. We're going to go ahead and go back here. We're just going to focus on this. I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And this is where you start assigning knob positions. Okay, so for the first zone, actually we're gonna make 2 zones here. We're gonna make this the actually we're gonna do 3 zones. We're gonna do we're just gonna do 2. We're gonna do Spokane, and then we're gonna do Idaho. Okay, so on this knob position 1, okay, we're going to do trunk group scan. Okay, now one of the things I found out when I was programming for myself was this voice prompt. It will actually say trunking talk group normal scan. It will voice announce that. Okay, if you want that to be off, click none. You have to go through and set this every time. Okay, so the alias is what's going to show up on the pager on the front of the screen when it pauses on 1. So if I'm on knob position 1 on the pager, I'm gonna put this in as fire disp. Okay, so I know that's the frequency we're gonna be putting in here. Okay, so right here is our trunking system. Okay, remember we put in Spokane County and we put in Idaho. Okay, so you're going to have to remember when you go through what correlates to what, okay? So that's why labeling these are important. So this one is going to be our Spokane system, so we want to make sure we pick Shreks. We're going to leave protocol alone, and we're going to add in this, so you can add in multiple. I could add this in if it was a part of the Spokane County system, but it's not. You're not going to hear any traffic on this in the Spokane County system. Or you might, with this talk group, you may pick up law enforcement or something. I'm not sure what correlates in our system with this, with these numbers, so just keep that in mind. So, just to come back up here, so the voice storage, if we go back up here to the group, this group alias, we have voice storage turned on, okay? So when we're in here, in the zone, when it stops on fire dispatch, it's set to record. Okay, you can turn off ID match, but this is the voice storage right here. This means that whenever fire dispatch sends out a message, it's going to record it. Okay, and you can play back that recording for however long they talk. So just keep that in mind if you're interested in that feature. Alright, we're not going to mess with any of this. We're going to leave this stuff alone, except just be aware of the voice storage. Okay, and then the priority talk group option. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to add this back, and I'm going to say King County is a part of the Spokane system. If you enable this option, the top channel will be the priority channel. Okay, so if I'm talking on King County Fire Dispatch or Kootenai County Fire Dispatch, and traffic starts coming through on fire dispatch, it's automatically going to switch over to fire dispatch. Okay, that's if you have it turned on. So if you have a list of talk groups in here, and you want the top one's always going to be your priority. Okay, so the top one, and you can switch these around here using these buttons. If you want there to be a priority in the group, you select this option. The top one's going to be the priority, so you'd want to move whichever one in there to the top. Okay, we're going to go ahead and remove that one, and we're going to uncheck that. Okay, so that's it. That's knob position 1. That's fire dispatch. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move over to knob position 2. Zone 1, we're going to go ahead and do trunk group scan. Okay, and this one we're going to add to fire dispatch, King County Fire Dispatch. Okay, so we come through, we got to make sure we're on the Idaho system. We're on the voice storage. We're going to go ahead and keep that on. Priority talk group, this is the only channel in the knob, so we don't have to worry about that. And we're going to name it. We'll do Kootenai County Fire Rescue Disp. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and add in. Okay. I think I may have actually turned something off by mistake there. I think when I was going through the demonstration, yeah, see, I'm using my mouse wheel, my mouse cursor to go through that. So that should fix it. Make sure that's enabled. Make sure that the voice buffering is enabled, or it may cut off part of the traffic. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and add in one of our conventional frequencies. Okay. Now to add in a conventional frequency, we're going to come in here. We're going to do normal scan. Actually, not normal scan. We're going to do monitor mode. Okay. And this is going to be AMR disp. Excuse me. And okay, so remember how I was telling you CSQ or adding in the PL tone? This is where we're going to do it here. So to find that information, it's always going to be CT. Actually, let me pull this over and show you here. Go back one. So we have fire dispatch right here. Okay. Fire dispatch is actually CSQ, meaning there is no tone on there. But if we look at tactical right here, there's a DPL. So there's a difference. If you look down here, it's 110.9 PL. So that would be CTCSS. So you would go through and you would find this frequency, and that would be it. That was what it would correlate. Okay? All right. So if you have a DPL, you want to go to CDCSS, and then you want to pick the DPL. So 0, whatever, and you want to go through. Now, you see the option for invert pops up. If you're not sure, don't check it. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and click none because AMR dispatch doesn't have one. Okay, so that's just kind of an overview of putting in a conventional frequency into the system. Now, we're going to go ahead and go on to the next knob position. We're going to go to monitor mode for that as well. We just want to make sure that we turn this off to voice prompter, otherwise it would say monitor mode every time. To be honest with you, it's kind of annoying. You can put in your own custom voice prompts, but we're not going to look at that today. Okay, so we're going to do SRMA 4 4-8 V for VHF. Okay, and then CSQ here, and then we're going to pick our tone. We're going to come back over. We're going to scroll down. Here is AMR or SRMA. And this has a PL tone of 127.3, okay? So we're going to come over here in this list, 127.3, there it is. And we're going to leave all this information the way it is. Again, if you're an agency, you'll know what this information is. If you're a consumer, my recommendation is to just leave it alone. You can muddle with it if you want to, but I definitely would just leave it the way it is. Otherwise, it'll take you a long time to figure out what's going on with your device if it's not operating correctly, and cause headache, basically. Okay, so again, we can set up voice storage if you want to, ID match if you have the option chosen. Okay, so now that we have two conventional frequencies programmed in, let me show you how to make a VHF scan list. Okay, now we're going to come down here to we have two options basically. We have a normal scan and we have a priority scan. Priority is if you have, we'll go ahead and show you here. So now that we have, and it's important with the VHF frequencies, the conventional frequencies, to list them on a knob position before you'll get this information to show up. They need to be on a knob position in order for you to create a scan list. And all you're going to do is just add them to the scan list. And if you want to create a priority channel, we're going to go ahead and make 4-8V our priority channel, okay? And again, leave this stuff alone if you don't know what it is, okay? And that's it. So so this is telling us that in these two scans, so if it stops on AMR dispatch and there's traffic starts coming through on SRMA 4-8, it's going to switch over to that because it's our priority channel that we have listed here. So we're going to go ahead and go back. We're going to make this a normal scan. And you can see since we're not in priority here, it's not going to give us the option to do that. Okay, so that is just adding in the conventional frequencies are a scan list, I should say, and then we can do like VHF scan. Okay, we can go ahead and save it anytime. While we're at it, let me go ahead and show you guys a conventional P25 frequency. Okay, so for this, so we were down here on number 5. So if you forget to add in something, not a problem, just switch back over to 2. So we're just going to add in, so we're going to come over here. I'm going to show you my voice. I'm losing my voice here. Okay. So I'm just going to show you guys here briefly a P25 conventional system because it's kind of weird to add it to the system. So Pend Oreille County is running on P25 conventional. Okay, so this is it right here. You can see the mode is P25 and the tone is 100 NAC. Okay, so we're going to do fire dispatch south. I'm going to go ahead and highlight this frequency here. I'm going to add in our new frequency. Oops. Just use this one. Fire disp south. Oops. That's actually we'll just do fire SOUTH. Okay. So we're gonna highlight this. We're gonna add in our frequency, and that's it. Remember, don't mess with this unless you know that you need to switch to a different bandwidth. Okay, and this has to do with the channel stepping. Okay. So we're actually going to go back to, I'm going to demonstrate this first for you here. So if I come here to knob position 6, double click, and I come down here to monitor mode. Actually, I need to go to, monitor mode. And I want to go to fire south, P25 conventional. Let's go ahead and get this set up. Protocol, network access code. We're going to come over here, grab the network access code, which is 100 NAC. We're going to go ahead and put 100 NAC in. We're going to make sure that that's a none. We're going to make this fire south. Okay, everything looks good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go on. Oh, what is this? Please put at least one group into the top group list. This is important. I actually got hung up on this for quite a bit. So when you do a conventional P25 frequency in the PPS, you need to add in a talk group for P25. Okay? So that means we're going to go back to, we're going to go ahead and leave this. We're going to come here, back to group ID setting. Okay? We're going to click new. And we're going to leave it as group 1. We're not going to change it. We're going to click this to none. We're going to just leave all this stuff alone. We'll just change this to 1 for the demonstration. Okay? So on a P25 talk group, you would fill this information out. On a P25 conventional talk group, this is what you're going to use. Okay? And for this, you're just going to add in You're going to switch over to hexadecimal. You're going to go FFFF. Okay, that's all you need to add for this. And you're going to click OK, and that's going to add it in. Now we can come back down here. We can go to knob position 6. We can go to fire south. We can come down here to monitor mode. Make sure that's none. Fire south. Protocol P25. NAT code again is 100 NAC, so that's all we have to do. And now we have down here the talk group. We're going to enable and off duty. Again, just leave this as none unless you know what this stuff is for. Okay? For the demonstration purposes here, we're going to leave this as none. And that's it. So now we can move on to 6. You see how it didn't give us any error messages? And if we wanted to, we can go back to 5 and we can add in fire south now. Even though that this is a P25 conventional frequency, it can still be entered into our scan list for VHF. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go on to, let's see, let's go ahead and double click this. Let's click cancel. Okay. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and next. So I didn't put anything in Idaho here. Hopefully you guys got the gist of adding stuff to the knob positions. So you can basically list out the zones that you want. You can come through and add a bunch of them, name the zones, and then add in what you want for the knob positions here. Okay. Hopefully you guys got that. There was a couple of questions that I had from people who were asking me how to program, and those were some of the issues they were having. So, as well as me when I went through it the first time. So we're going to go ahead and click Next. Okay, so this is pager functions. Okay, we're going to bring this, we're going to pop this back open, because this is going to give us more information as to what this stuff is. Okay, again, it's very imperative that you don't mess with any of this if you don't know what it is. Okay, I can tell you, if you want, you can go ahead and uncheck this stuff here. It's not going to hurt anything, including all band scan. I would leave monitor mode, channel setting as well. You have to have an option here. I would just leave all-in-one message box. This is for messages, for voice recordings and such. And then also receiving text messages such as MDCs. If you don't want, so this stuff here you can turn off. You can turn off, it's got an alarm built into it, so if you wanted to set an alarm you could. Voice memo, if you wanted to take a voice memo you can turn that off. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, if you don't know what this information is, it's better to ask than to turn it off, or one tick of the box. You can be running around for days trying to figure out why your scanner or your pager's not working and it's not scanning properly. And all you did was tick a box. Okay. Step 2 here. You can have device function settings. Same thing here. Okay. If you don't know what it is, leave it alone. Okay. Especially with this. If you uncheck this, you won't be able to select your zone. Same thing with duty on off. I actually went off duty and I wasn't picking up any traffic. It was all muted. So that made me run around for a bit until I went back and changed it. In, out, range alert, I would definitely make sure this is checked, because if you get out of range of a frequency, it will make a nice tone and it will give you an alert message on your screen saying that you're out of range. I would make sure that is checked. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and click Next here. Again, same thing. If you don't know what any of this information is, don't mess with it. Okay? It's very imperative. You'll be running around like crazy trying to figure out what's going on when all you did was change something. And this is actually what I changed right here. I went to duty off. So no traffic was coming through at all for me. Excuse me. All right. So, duty status, leave that as on. Leave all this information as on. Home screen. Now, this is pretty cool. If you want to customize your home screen, add a picture in here. You can do a title. You can do a logo. You can do all image, whatever you want. If you Google this, you can go through and add a bunch of cool stuff in here. Add like your name, your phone number if it ever gets lost, whatever, and you can I don't have a picture to load in here, but you could go through, you can customize this to anything you want here. Okay, and that's kind of cool to be able to go through and do that stuff. It's really nice of them to give us that option. I'm gonna go ahead and click cancel. You can also detail what is on the home screen for these different modes. So let's say for trunking talk group scan, if you don't want this information in here, you can go ahead and remove it. Okay? Vice versa. Whatever you want. This is okay to mess with. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and click Next. Oh, it wants us to create a home. We're going to go back to standard. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and click Next. Now, if you want this device to be only read and accessed by this PPS or programmed with a password, you can set it, okay? You can go ahead and set the password for that as well. And then we're going to go ahead and click Next. Bluetooth is setting, function disabled, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Remember, if you don't know what it is, don't mess with it. And next, it's going to give us a nice report. Here we go. So this is our report here. Okay, our model information is right here. Our user group name test. You would name this something, whatever you wanted to name it. This would give us how many conventional frequencies. We have 3 conventional frequencies. Trunking system. So this gives us our. This is a really nice, well laid out informational screen here for what you've just done to your scanner or what's in it. Okay. So these are our group list. This is our knob positions for zone 1. You know, and then all of our other zones are here. And you can actually print this out, which is pretty cool. I really like the way they did that. Nice detailed report. So you can actually send this on with the customer so that they can see exactly what's in there. It's going to be a lot of paper that you're going to have to print out, especially if it gets too big. But again, it's pretty nice to be able to list it out for your customer or, you know, for you, for us to print it out and show you that. Okay, so that's basically it. You've gone through the PPS and you've gotten your device programmed with 3 conventional frequencies. One just happens to be a P25 conventional. You've programmed in 2 sites on 2 different systems. And you've got talk groups on Idaho, Washington State, and you've got your conventional P25 in there as well. Okay, so you've gone through and you've done it. Okay, that's the end. Now, if you wanted to go ahead and program this, you would just hit the programmer button. And when your pager was plugged in here, you would see it pop up here, and then you would have this button down here to press program, and that's it. That is it, folks. Only took me an hour to kind of go through that with you guys. Obviously, as you are new to this and you're going through it, it's definitely going to be daunting. It was for me, but I was able to get through it, and I'm not going to necessarily say I'm a master at it, but it was definitely a lot easier than my brain made it out to me to be. So, if you guys have any questions, West Coast Emergency Supply, we are always here to help you guys out. We do offer programming services. If you want to get it programmed, check our website. I'll put the link in the description below for you guys to check out our updated pricing list. If you purchase from us, it is a reduced cost. G4 and G5, you can get really super technical with your programming, so obviously it's going to cost more. There's just no way around that. It does take time to program it, but it's definitely an easier way if you just wanted to get it, open it up right out of the box, have something programmed in it for you to look at. That's another thing. We just did that for a recent customer. Programmed him in my actual personal G5 scanner list, and he was able to read from it on his computer and program or make changes to whatever he wanted. He's got stuff for Idaho. He drives his truck, so he's constantly driving, loves taking it with him. Absolutely great performance on the device. Couldn't say anything better about it. And that we definitely appreciate that, guys. We really do. We strive hard for you guys, and we want to make sure that your experience is great when you come and whatever you need from us. So whether it's pagers, medical equipment, we got some great MyMedic packs on our site. We've got Boston leather on there, radio holders. We've got just various different things, guys. So whatever you need, we'll take care of you. Not a problem. Give us a call. Our number is 833-444-7643. Send us an email at cs@westcoastemergencysupply.com. That's our customer service email address. We'll take care of you, whatever you need. Programming, pager sales, pager equipment, whatever you guys need, we got you taken care of. Thank you again for watching this video. And if you have any questions, always hit us up in the comments of this video or just come right on over to the site. We'll get you taken care of, guys. Thank you.